Welcome to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. There are no traffic jams along the Extra Mile when you're studying for your bar exam. And now, your host, Jackson Mummy, owner of the Celebration Bar Review.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to episode 198 of the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers. This is your host, Jackson Mummy. I'm really glad that you're with us today. Hope things are going well for you. If this is your first time on the podcast, welcome. We're glad to have you with us. We offer these podcasts in a couple of different formats. You can watch them on video by simply going to our website, celebrationbarreview.com/ and then the episode number, which in this case is 198. So celebrationbarreview.com/198, and you can watch the video. If you prefer to listen to these podcasts, you can do that on Apple iTunes or on iHeart Radio or Spotify. And we would love it if you'd give us a rating and review on any of those so that more people can find the podcast. We've got a really growing audience. It's been interesting to see. We're approaching, obviously, episode 200. And we've been doing these for, almost 3 years, I think. And it's amazing how much the podcast has grown. But I know that there are other people that would really benefit and enjoy listening to these. And so feel free to share these episodes, but also to leave your rating and review, honest rating and review, please. And that would be a great thing. We'd really appreciate it. It takes about 30 seconds of your time. Well, in today's episode, we're going to do an interview with another successful bar exam taker. Today, we're going to be talking to a Florida bar taker, Ben Chase, who had taken the bar, failed, and then switched courses and came to Celebration Bar Review and used our basic coaching program. That's our most economical program, and he passed the bar. And he's got a great story. I think you're going to love hearing from him. He's a really engaging guy. Now, before we jump into the interview today with Ben, I just want to let you know that there are some things happening in the bar exam world, obviously. As this episode comes out, will be just a couple of days before the actual release date for California and Georgia bar results. We expect both of those on May 18th. That's a Friday. And obviously, good luck to everybody that's waiting for those results. Candidly, I don't expect results to be very good, given the trends around the country, and certainly looking at what I consider the bellwether states of Florida, New York, and Texas. I think it's very likely that we're going to be looking, particularly in California, at pass rates somewhere in the 30 to 35% range for all bar takers on this exam. And I think for the repeat bar takers, we're probably going to be looking at 10 to 15%. So not good news. I'm not trying to make everybody feel any worse than they already feel right now waiting for results, but I just want to give you that heads up that we don't see any trend anywhere in the country where results or pass rates were going up. And California is historically the worst of all of the states. So we've got our fingers crossed there for everybody that took that exam. In Georgia, I think we'll see a lot of the same thing. Probably a little higher pass rates in Georgia than California, smaller exam, but definitely nothing to write home about, I think, in terms of results. So in next week's podcast, episode 199, I'll be talking about those results. We'll give you the information that we've got at that point about both California and Georgia. And we hope they're good results. We expect good results for our students, but candidly, it is just a very, very difficult exam. And there's not much to make us think that the numbers, both in the multi-state and in the essay parts around the country, they're just all going in the same direction and it's down. I think the real question is, have we hit bottom yet in pass rates? My guess is that the answer to that is no, we haven't. Now, I expect a significant rebound in July because you've got more first-time bar takers. But even in the first-time bar taker populations in Florida and Texas and New York, for example, we did not see sterling results. So I think that the overall state pass rates in those three states were very, very low. And that makes me very concerned about where we are for the overall pass rates. I will say that one of the things that I'm very proud of is how well our students have done and how many students have had remarkable gains in their scores. And you're going to hear from one of those students today with Ben. It's important, I think, to have these case studies and these interviews with successful students because I think they generate and create for many of you a legitimate sense of hope. You know, there's a way to do this. It can be done. You can pass the bar. You can turn a failing result to a passing result. And I don't think anything says that as clearly as these discussions with people who've done just that. Now, to help you along that road, we also offer a free webinar. And the title of the webinar is How to Make the Next Bar Exam Your Last Bar Exam. This is a look at the powerful, proven way to pass. We'll be offering this webinar with a live Q&A on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 4 p.m. Pacific Time. And again on Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. This webinar is something I really encourage you to go through and watch. We really take apart what you have to do to be successful. We show you case studies. We give you lots of opportunities to see inside what it takes to be successful. And then I do a live Q&A to answer your questions at the end. Now, the webinar is entirely free, but you do need to register in advance. And you can do that by going to our website or by going to celebrationbarreview.com/webinar or by just scrolling down, if you're here on the video page, to the bottom of this page. You can register in any of those places. When you register, you'll see the choice of dates, and you'll see a third option there, which is for an on-demand version of the webinar. This is all the same great content. The only difference is that I won't be on to do a live Q&A, and in place of that, you can send emails and we'll respond to that right away. The beauty of the on-demand webinar, of course, is you can watch anytime, any location. So I know those of you on the West Coast, 4 p.m. is a little tough to do sometimes. So you can schedule it for 7 p.m. or any time that works for you, or weekends, whatever's best in your schedule. It's exactly the same content. So we encourage you one way or the other to get registered for that webinar. It is literally life-changing. In fact, the student that we're going to talk to today was someone who came to us through that webinar, and I think you're going to enjoy hearing his story. It's a fun one. He's a great guy, and I think you're going to like our discussion. So let's jump into today's interview with Ben Chase. Well, hey everybody, welcome back to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Exam Takers, and I have, a very happy guy today. This is Ben Chase, and Ben has passed the Florida Bar Exam. Hey, Ben.
Hey, how are you doing, Jackson?
I'm great, but I'm guessing that you're feeling even better right now.
100%. You can see right here, I got my little congratulations banners still hung up, so everything's good.
Yeah. You were saying before we went on that today was the first day you had billable hours.
Well, at first day where I have, start meeting the monthly requirements, so it's starting to get really quick.
Yeah. They don't waste any time, man. They swear you in and they say, hey, hit those billables. Yeah. Well, we'll get back around to that, but I wanted to start by just asking you to kind of tell folks your story, how you got to school, what happened, what led you to be taking the Florida Bar Exam, and kind of how you came to be in this position.
Oh, okay. Well, long story short, I went to George Washington Law School in D.C. Before that, I worked at Walt Disney World and was like, I don't want to work at Disney anymore. So I went to school at Valencia and then UF and GW, and I came back to Orlando to take the bar exam in July, and I was driving Uber and Lyft on the side to pay for bills and everything, and I studied a lot. Like I did long days, and I think that's something that really burnt me out. And with Celebration, the focus is short periods of time to maintain that information. I think that was invaluable. And then my score, I barely didn't pass the first time. I missed by a combined total of 10 points. And so that was kind of it's weird because I didn't cry when I didn't pass. I just said, all right, let's move forward. And I found your program, and I took it in, and here I am on the other side.
Yeah. What was your score when you took the exam this time?
The combined score was like 292. So you needed like a 136 to pass, which would be a 272. So I was pretty far and away.
So a 151 Florida. Whoa, man, you killed it. I think
it was I dominated 2 of the 3 essays. I absolutely dominated.
Yeah, I guess you did. Wow, that is really, really great. Well, congratulations. That's a 30-point increase from before.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, something like that. You're kind of humble, for a 30-point increase, dude. All right, so you're doing all this stuff. You're going to school. You're driving Uber and Lyft. You're working at Disney World. You've done all of these things. You're taking the bar. And I assume you took a traditional bar review, a big box bar review the first time through, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And how many hours would you say you were studying on a weekly basis?
Like at least 60 or 70.
Yeah, that's a lot, right? Yeah. And so by the time you got to the exam, is it fair to say that you were pretty exhausted, pretty fried?
Oh, I mean, without a doubt, I was exhausted, and it was weird because, I mean, going in, I mentally, because of the hours I was going, I said, there's nothing I can do more than, that they set the table for me. But after seeing my scores and seeing, the areas that I fell up short in, I knew that if I just dialed in those areas and I used, the tools that you gave me, I would be fine. And
so you take the exam the first time, you fail by 10 points, and then you contacted me. How did you find out about Celebration Bar Review?
It may have been, targeted ads, but I'm a big guy on YouTube, and I think it may have been something that was one of the suggested, watch the next video.
Okay.
And I just looked at my data from April, and I used 29 gigs on YouTube last month, just data. So,
okay, that's a lot. Okay, so you might have been watching some YouTube. All right, so you come across us, and I remember you and I had a couple of conversations, and you were pretty intense and pretty discouraged about what had happened, but also I thought there was an interesting sense of, I know I can do this. I know it's possible for me, and I just have to reset myself. I have to figure out a different way of doing it. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, like I said, when I found I was in the Chick-fil-A parking lot when I found out I didn't pass, and I didn't cry. I just had my Chick-fil-A breakfast, and I said, all right, well, let's move forward. That's the only thing you can do. And I found your program and, talked it out, and it made sense to me. And that's what
Okay. So you signed up, and when did you start studying for the February bar with us?
I started looking at the materials probably October, November, and really went heavy in probably early December, because I'm not sure when the results came out for when did the results come out for July? September?
September, yeah.
Okay, so I believe I started making because I did the monthly payments, so I think my first payment was probably October or November with you guys.
Yeah.
And then I started diving right into the video, the video workshops, and then the online chats and stuff that the weeklies. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know you were very much engaged with our private Facebook group. We're going to have to ask about the caffeinated gum in a minute, but I'm getting there. But you started your studies, and you're in our basic coaching program, which is, frankly, our most economical program. And sometimes people say, well, can you pass with that? The answer is sure. You're a living proof of that. How many hours a week would you say you were spending studying for the February exam in our course?
Okay, so it's funny because when I first went to the first, group chat that you guys have, I said, because I was working full time once I started studying with you guys, and I said, I was going to do from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. and the team said, you probably shouldn't. Kelly was like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that, and I said, okay, that's fine, and I listened, and I took a step back, and so. The first few weeks, probably November and December, I was doing, probably 20 to 25 hours, maybe 30 with a little extra weekends. And then once January, February came, I had 2 weeks off before the bar, so I was able to pick it up a little bit more. Again, because I was so close to, I knew the areas I could dial in on with your program. And, that's probably the hours that I put into it.
Okay. So were you still working? It sounds like you were still working while you were studying then before the February test, right?
Yeah, I was still working, exactly.
Okay.
I took 2 weeks before the exam.
Okay. So by studying for a period of maybe 3 or 4 months instead of, a short compressed period of time and longer hours, you were doing more months and shorter hours. What was the difference for you when you went to the bar exam in February in terms of your sort of physical and mental state?
Well, to be very honest with you, the night before the exam, I went to a bar and had a drink. So
that is not in the program, folks. We do not tell people to do that. Just to be clear. Okay.
That's not in the program. I went and watched. So I went to watch some basketball because I love basketball, and I just needed to get distracted a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't recommend you do that, but that's how comfortable I was at that point. I think that's what I'm trying to say. The 2 days before the exam, I tried to do a little review, but I felt confident. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So confident, so that I went and watched basketball and had one drink.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And, we encourage people to go to the movies, get a massage, do something with family or friends. We're not explicit about. Yeah. Do something, because I think at the point that you know it, there's just not a reason to keep, grinding, right?
Exactly. I had kind of like the final review outlines that you guys provide. I don't remember what it's called.
The nutshells.
Yeah, the nutshells. The MBE one was heaven. It was just heaven, and I would use that. And after you read it, a few times, more than a few times, you just know at that point. And that's where I had a little bit of anxiety, but those 48 hours before, I knew that I was in a good spot.
Yeah, and I think when people are trying to figure out if they're on target to pass, one of the things we say to them is you'll know if you're okay. And you'll just sort of have an intuitive sense of, I know the material, I'm ready, I can do this, versus the people that are scrambling at the end and still saying, I need another week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Is that fair?
Yeah. Compared to last time where both nights before the exam I was studying like till 11 o'clock, and it's funny because the day of the exam I said if I just had one more day I know I'd pass without a doubt, and I mean I barely didn't pass, but this time in comparison I didn't take 2 days off, but I basically did take 2 days to just relax and just have me time.
Okay, good. Now, you became semi-famous in our Facebook group, our private group. And I've been dying to ask this question, but there's something about you and caffeinated gum. And so, I'm just going to say, what the heck? What's going on there, dude?
So, I'm not a coffee drinker. I just don't drink coffee, and that's fine. I don't judge anyone that does. My mom drinks enough for the both of us. And in January, I gave up regular soda, so I only drink diet. While studying for the bar, I've lost 25 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Another thing. Yeah. So I found, the funny story is, while studying for the bar exam, in November, the UCF played USF, and they had that crazy game, and it was a Friday night game.
Right.
And I was invited to go to the Iron Bowl the next morning in Auburn. So I, on a turnaround, drove from Orlando to Auburn, and on the way there, I stumbled over caffeinated gum, Alert, which is the actual brand, and it worked 100%. And so I would use it when I was studying, and during the exam, I was allowed to bring in the gum because you're allowed to bring in gum. And on the second day, I was so tired at question 70 on the Florida multiple choice, I popped a caffeinated gum, and that's the reason I passed the exam.
Okay. Well, I've done this a long time, Ben. I have never heard that before, but I'll bet you that as a result of this interview, sales of caffeinated gum will go way up among bar takers. So there you go.
Someone commented that they are using the caffeinated gum. So.
Yeah, I've seen it all over. So we have a private Facebook group, folks, in our course, and students that are in the course can share ideas and thoughts and questions, and then there's group coaching calls that Ben was talking about. And our past students stay in the community, in the group, so I hope you'll do that as well. But Ben posted that he was going to talk about his caffeinated gum, so it was a big deal. So there you go. All right, so we've covered the caffeinated gum. That's a new one. It's totally a new one.
It's like 5 calories, and it's $2 for a pack.
Okay. I mean, don't tell my wife. Okay, so you go in, you take the exam, and now you've got the waiting period, and you've been through this before. What was the wait like this time?
I didn't even think about it until 2 weeks up. Until 2 weeks up, I legitimately forgot about the exam. It's funny, going into it, my goal mentally was for the MBE part, to go in and, to go in and every question at least be able to say, have no question say, I have no idea. That was my goal on that.
All right.
So there was only one question where I remember the question, and I said, I have no idea. And I think it was like a test, like one of the, the ones they pull out. But that was my goal going in. And then, like I said, afterwards, I didn't think about the results until about 2 weeks out, because that's when other states were kind of getting theirs in. And I was anxious, but I felt so, like I said earlier, I found out my results in the Chick-fil-A parking lot the first time because I needed to get out of the house.
Okay.
And I was that anxious, but this time I was sitting in the living room watching the news with my uncle when I found out. And I think that again shows how comfortable I was this time, and obviously the scores went up as well.
Yeah. So tell me about when you saw the scores this time. You're in the house with your uncle, you're watching the news, and you get a text alert or a tweet that says the results are up, right?
Yeah. Well, I knew that they would be approved at around 9 o'clock,
right.
9 a.m. And I had my phone, and I was on the website, and I just refreshed the website literally at 9, and went on the sheets, and it was scary because the numbers 5 up and 5 below me all didn't pass. And I checked 5 times. My uncle checked. The very next day at work, I checked again. It was just, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, the pass rate on this exam in Florida was horrendously low, and for repeat bar takers, less than 25%. So you beat all the odds. You beat the odds for all bar takers, and you killed them for repeat bar takers. How did that make you feel?
I mean, I feel great. Obviously, I cried. I didn't cry when I didn't pass, and I cried when I did pass. And I'm still kind of setting in. My friend asked me today, how's it feel to be a lawyer? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I got my business cards today, and I'm still, it's still all soaking in. Today was the first day of billing, and but when I look at those numbers of other people, I just remember that that's their story, and this is my story. And I knew that I could do it. I just had to, have the right tools in front of me. And I think one of the invaluable things about celebration is you don't say don't study this, or you don't say this like as much like a lot of the big boxes like, oh, don't worry about this. Mm-hmm. Where instead, I go in and you say you should cover everything and at least give it at least once or twice over. And I think that was invaluable because the first time one of the essays just completely threw me off, and that was on this time. Yeah. I dominated the essays. I don't know my scores. I wish I did know my scores.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm rambling.
And did you? You're doing great. Did you use the writing style that we were teaching? Did you modify your writing style?
So I did a little bit because the FLA format. I mean, it just made sense, right? On the essays last time, the one that I knew the law, I was 18 points above the average. So I knew that if I knew the law, I could do significantly well. Like, I knew that I could.
Sure.
And that was the gap for me last time. 2 of the essays, I wasn't as strong. So I used the FLA format, but my priority was the breadth. And I used, what you guys put out there and just focus on the breadth. And that's the key for the essays, at least for the Florida bar. It's just, you don't have to know it all, but just having, enough and using the FLA format, the combination was a home run, obviously. Yeah,
that's awesome. And then you posted a picture at Epcot, I think, wasn't it? With your
It was at Magic Kingdom in front of the purple wall that they just changed.
Okay, so it's at the Magic Kingdom at Disney World, and you get the buttons that they give you, for first visit, or it's your birthday, or it's your anniversary, and you had them write one that said, "I just passed the bar exam," which was very, very cool. So I like that. Got to say that, I felt that one.
We can go sometime if you want.
I love it, man. I love to meet students who've passed at Disney. There are going to be a lot of people, Ben, who are watching this interview who have failed their exam, whether it's Florida or somewhere else. And there's certainly some sense of discouragement and frustration and anger and all of that. What would you say to somebody sitting in that position today?
I would say that it's not uncommon, And whenever people ask me about the first time I took the bar, I never said I failed. I said I didn't pass, because investing all that time in something and investing your money and things like that doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that you came up short that time and your story's not finished. And, if it takes, 2 or 3 times, I know someone that's taken the bar 5 times. And this time I'm confident that person will pass. But, it's, if you need, the best part of celebration is, personally to me, is the group coaching sessions, because it keeps you accountable and it keeps you in an atmosphere where you're saying other people are going through this too. When I first took the bar exam, I had obviously had friends. I'm a nice guy. I have friends, but I kind of isolated myself through the process and checked in here and there. And the course I took had 2 check-in sessions the whole, process. So it just wasn't for me. And you just have to know yourself too. Mm-hmm. Those cookie cutter courses are very generic. And when I took Celebration, the learning style, it just made sense. It was intuitive, but also it fit me in the way that the course was. It fit who I am, and you just have to find out. You've been studying this. You went to law school. You went to undergrad, I'm assuming. So at this point, just because you didn't pass or you didn't make it, you're smart. You've done all the work up to this point. Just this last exam, you just have to, I say grind and hustle, yada yada yada, but the tools are there for you to pass, and you will.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're a great example of that. You kept your composure. You did what you had to do. I love the fact that you say, I didn't pass, not that I failed. And I think that distinction really becomes important. I think people confuse the idea of failing the bar exam with being a failure. And you're clearly not a failure. Even if you can get to the bar exam, you've been a success in life. And so now, you're getting the opportunity to finish that part of your career, the success there, and now you've got the congratulations banners up on the wall, and soon there'll be diplomas and pictures and all those things. And it's really an exciting thing to see people transition through that. But, there was never really much of a doubt in my mind that you were going to be successful, because you had this composure and this approach that said, I'm just going to do what I have to do. So I want to congratulate you on really a job well done. It's very exciting. Glad to see you do that. And, and to recognize that you were able to pick and choose the right tools to fit your particular circumstances, your economic circumstances, your timing. I'm sure, you got what you needed to be successful. And that's the real point that we want to get to with, kind of getting away from the cookie cutter, right?
Yeah, 100%. And one more thing to go back to what would I tell someone that didn't pass or failed the bar exam is it's the ultimate first world problem. Like, if you think about it, if you told someone in any other country or any third world country that you didn't pass a bar exam, they don't even know what that means. And you're so far ahead of the curve in life that sometimes there's a roadblock. Like LeBron didn't win the finals his first time. He didn't win his second time either. So, but the history books haven't been finished on if he's the greatest of all time. He keeps growing. Like, he's 15 years in the league.
Yeah, I think it's a great example because I think the stories aren't written for people that are just passing the bar. They're just getting started. So I'm going to be excited to watch your story, Ben, to see what happens and how you move in your career. I know you're going to be successful. I love the qualities that you bring to just the way you do things. I hope you stick around in our private Facebook group because I know you're kind of a fan favorite. So, and I know Kelly and the rest of our team was really excited for your success as well. I really want to thank you for spending a few minutes talking with us, sharing your story. I know it's going to inspire a lot of people and it's going to encourage a lot of people and probably sell a lot of caffeinated gum. So, that's a cool thing, right? Thank you. Thanks again. Any other thoughts that you wanted to share before we sign off here?
I think the Kelly and you guys encourage doing fitness and getting out and exercising. I 100% agree. I mean, like I said, I lost 25 pounds while studying this thing. And it's not that I was starving myself. It was just being active. And the fact that, sacrificing the 30 or 45 minutes to work out compared to studying, it's going to be worth it too. And with the way that, Jackson has set up this program, you don't need 12-hour days, which I legitimately did. You can get it done in less time. And whoever's watching this, I wish you the best of luck. And Jackson's here to help you at all times.
Well, thanks. And thank you, Ben. We appreciate you being with us. And to our audience, thanks for being with us. This was fun. And we'll see you again next time on our next interview. And for now, bye-bye, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Ben. He's a terrific guy, and we wish him all the best. I think he's going to be a terrific member of the bar here in Florida. Now, if you'd like to make the next bar exam your last bar exam, I want to remind you that you can join us free on Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, for how to make the next bar exam your last bar exam. We'll also be offering this same webinar on Monday night at 7 p.m., or you can choose the on-demand version. Remember, to register, just go to celebrationbarreview.com/webinar, or if you're watching here on the video page, just scroll down to the bottom of the page. Well, that's our episode for this week. Again, good luck to everyone waiting for your bar results. If you're listening to this as the episode comes out, we know you're just a couple of days away from those results in California and Georgia. And next week when we come back, we'll take a look at those results. We'll have another great interview for you. I've got lots of them lined up, lots of successful students from around the country. Look forward to sharing that with you. Take care, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you along the extra mile and on the pass list. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Extra Mile podcast for bar exam takers at www.celebrationbarreview.com.